Good morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about whether the LDQ is worth it as well as all the new things that they have added into the game, including the Magis Dreadkeeper 2 because SEGA just can't make up their minds and they're making the Magis augments more and more confusing. Now, the very first thing I want to talk about is going to be, of course, the freebie. So when we go to get campaign items, receive item account, over here, there is the receive weekly super origin gifts over here. So this literally happens every week. So make sure that you do pick all of this up because it's quite a lot of stuff, you know, Rappy shaped fritters, EXP boosters, NEX cubes, as well as, of course, 10 scratch tickets. Very, very nice stuff. So make sure to pick that up. I didn't even notice that there was 4N augmentation transfer pass vouchers. So that is really nice to pick up. Now, if you are an NGS official creator, you do get your 90 days premium as well as 90 days material storage, so make sure to pick that up as well. Now, the very next thing I want to talk about is, of course, the limited time quest. As I promised you guys, is it worth farming? Personally, I find this incredibly fun. It's finally different. It's not a rerun of an existing limited time quest that we've had years ago. This is actually brand new and it is pretty fun. Personally, I like it a lot. As for the loot, a lot of people are like, oh, the loot's absolutely garbage, but they don't realize that the Wingard Almaty CV is worth 100 million Meseta. Now, yes, the chances of you actually getting that to drop is awfully low. However, in yesterday's farming session on stream, someone did manage to get this. Now, unfortunately, it wasn't me. However, someone in the group did manage to get this weapon, and the reason why it's going for 100 million versus like the regular prices is simply because it is a color variant. All right, it is red and black. It's very, very pretty. So that's the reason why these Wingard Almaty CVs are going for so much. So if you just want to spam the LTQ because you think it is fun, then it's perfectly fine because of course you're getting a bunch of these scratch tickets, and then there is the off chance of getting the Wingard Almaty CV. Just keep in mind that all of the RDR buffs are now gone. As you can see here in quest effects, we only have a rare drop rate plus 50% now. We don't have the like 450 or 550% boosts anymore. All of those have ended. So we are going to need to wait for the next PSO2 day to roll around before we get all of those boosts again. Nevertheless, I still highly recommend people to run the LTQ at least once because you do get 100,000 N Meseta as well as 10 special scratch tickets. Remember, these are full-on tickets, not vouchers. So you definitely want to do it at least once. Alright, the next thing I want to talk about is, of course, Omen of the Planet Breaker D2. So as we can see here, you can obtain the Magis Dreadkeeper 2s over here, as well as the Stira Scepters, which are used to craft more Magis Dreadkeeper 2s. Now, the thing about these Magis Dreadkeeper 2s, as you can actually see the stats right here, is it doesn't increase your PP, it actually increases your HP even more than the Grand Dreadkeeper 2s, which is pretty nice. However, it does not give PP. So it's kind of very confusing because let me just show you the Magis augments over here. So when we look at the Magis augments over here, Magis Hell Finale sacrifices a little bit of HP but gives you a little bit more PP versus the Lux Hell Finale. The Magis Gigas Maste also sacrifices HP in order to give you a little bit more PP at plus 4 PP but no HP. However, Magis Gladius Soul as well as Magis Dreadkeeper 2 decide to give you less PP and more HP. Well, in a Dreadkeeper sense, it actually gives you no PP and just gives you extra HP. So if we look at Grand Dreadkeeper 2, you can see it gives us 40 HP, 4 PP, as well as the same stats over here, versus Magis Dreadkeeper over here, which gives us 70 HP, so that's 30 HP more, but it doesn't give us any PP. So we do lose out on 4 PP, but you gain a massive amount of HP. So Magis Dreadkeeper, again, is gonna be my preferred Dreadkeeper simply because I value HP much more over PP, since I am playing a Braver, which is very counter-based anyway, so PP has never really been that big of an issue. However, of course, if you are playing a class that does rely on your PP to deal damage, for example, a Force or a Ranger, where you actually need all of that PP to spam techniques as well as Photon Arts, then, you know, you might not want to go with the Magis version over here and just stick with the regular Grand Dreadkeeper 2. But it's super, super confusing that they're doing this because it's like, you know, you've got two Magis versions which give you more HP, and then you've got two Magis versions that give you more PP. So it's, I don't really know what Sega's train of thought here. I originally thought that the Magis versions were just going to be like, oh, these are the PP-centric augments, and now they're just mixing everything up. So SEGA logic, nice. Now with that said, don't forget that the WQ is still happening right now and the boss's HP has not been reduced. However, for some reason, Omen of the Planet Breaker or Malevolent Darkfall Solless does feel a lot easier. I don't really know why, even though it clearly says that its HP has not been reduced, but I feel like the fight is significantly easier versus the original version. Like the boss parts are breaking a lot quicker than usual, so I don't know if they've secretly reduced the HP of the bosses or not, but that is just something to keep in mind. Now, speaking about Malevolent Darkfall Solless, don't forget that you do want to run it twice every single day because it's actually part of your dailies in order to get more of the reward box medal Solless, because when we head over here to task and rewards and the reward box, you can see that we now have a new reward box that has been refreshed, and we actually get these nice little angel wings at step 2. So you definitely want to collect all 41 tokens in order to obtain all of the rewards over there. And remember, you are time gated on this because well, the only way to obtain them is logging in every single day. You get 2 for simply having 1682 battle power or above, and then you get an additional 3 for running the urgent quest twice. So just make sure that you do this every single day. Remember, there is a schedule for the urgent quest. I'll leave the schedule in the description below so that you can check it for yourself. And last but not least, I want to talk about the Fantastic Symphony. So this is the new AC scratch that has just released. This is the elf and wizard themed AC scratch. This witch outfit over here, I said on stream, it kind of reminds me of Ranni from Dark Souls. However, everyone said it was Ranni from Temu apparently, and so we'll just roll with that. And then of course there are the 2 different weapon camos. So when we scroll down over here, you're going to notice there is the fairy garb. So the difference between fairy garb as well as the fairy Clyde is the fairy Clyde does not have that glow, does not have the green glow. As you can see here, this one does have that green glow as it is a color variant, versus the regular Fairy Clyde does not have the green glow and is not a color variant. That is the difference between the two. Other than that, everything else is the same. So by default, when you inspect this, you actually see the twin daggers. However, if you equip a bow and then inspect these weapons, you can see what the bow looks like, and likewise with the twin daggers or the soaring blades. But as you can see, the bow actually looks really nice without the weapon camo. I actually like this blue a lot more versus the one with the weapon camo where it's like bright green. However, do keep in mind that the garb version or the bright green one will also change your projectile colors to green as well. So if you are a bow main and you do want to change like your entire color scheme to green, then you definitely want to pick up the garb. However, if you don't care about that and you like this dark blue, which is my personal favorite, then you can stick with this one. Unfortunately, yeah, these are all very, very expensive weapon camos. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.